Right now on the flip side, we're going to tell you how to go into your high school and be an incredible representative for Christ. Or if you have a student, how to help them do that. And the role that sovereignly pizza plays in real, authentic Christian ministry. So join us for the flip side. Here we go. Yeah. Starting a brand new study series here at Bayside, and I've got a couple brand new faces on the flip side to help us get into our passages for the series. We've got over here Charvis Franklin.
Yeah.
Charvis, welcome to Bayside and welcome to the flip side, my friend.
Yes, sir. I'm the rookie in the room and in every room right now.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool.
Charvis, tell us a little bit what you do here at Bayside in case someone hasn't met you out there in the Bayside universe.
Yes, sir. I'm the high school's outreach. So our church just really loves outreach and going on school campuses, and thought it was important enough to employ someone to do that. So through the Motion campaign, they employed me to just go on school campuses and love the city and love the school.
We need to change that title because high school outreach says it technically, but it doesn't say what you do.
Yeah.
Like if you come to our church, there's 30 students gathered around Jarvis at all. Well, if I need to find Jarvis, I go, where's the group of students?
Jarvis,
He's right there.
What do you call the group of guys that are always going places with you? You have a name for them, right?
The street squad.
The
street squad. Jarvis is a natural Pied Piper. He's like a little bit of a cult leader, but with great theology.
Thank you.
No, I love watching you do what you do with students. And like you said, we're such huge fans of students, just watching you love on them and connect with. And by the way, the other thing that you do is the variety, athletes, theater kids, shy kids, extroverted kids, they all like you. They all seem to
You're
really.
a student magnet, Jarvis.
I try to be. I really do try to be. And try to really engage with all students on whatever level, whether that is me liking the Denzel Washington movie, or me running track, or beating students as I do often in basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Ask Cam Crow, ask some of those kids.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that really specifically when we talk about this being the church. We're going to come at you for the student stuff. But we've also got one of the greatest authorities I know, certainly in the Bayside universe and beyond, on how you be a Christian in the whole world. It's our director of outreach and missions and our Mexicali, Mexico director, Jordanna. Jordanna, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Curt. I'm doing great. I'm super excited about this coffee, I'll be honest. But yeah.
Oh, you know.
And I'm so glad Charvis is on our team.
Come back into the camera, Hannah. We forgot. I got so excited about Charvis. We didn't talk coffee.
I'm excited. That's
what is the coffee we're drinking this week?
Okay, hang on. Now I forgot. Okay, it's Stumptown, which is really good.
Stumptown.
Jam and toffee. It's called 100 Miles. So it's a blend. It's from a few different places. But jam and toffee. You probably can't taste the jam.
So I'm tasting it. You guys want to know a little secret?
Yeah.
Before we started, I added a little half and half and a little stevia.
Because somebody can't just drink it.
Nope. Totally not even ashamed of that.
Hey, I wouldn't be ashamed of this.
Delicious.
Jam and toffee, Stumptown.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So this weekend and next weekend, we're in the book of Acts. We're leading up to our big, huge city serve celebration at Golden One. So we just thought we'd do a couple weeks studying the original church in the most epic definition of what it means to be church, which is the book of Acts. Acts 2:42. This is the passage, you can read it for yourself, where they're devoted to each other. They're devoted to the apostles' teaching. They're breaking bread with each other. They're meeting in small groups, home to home. They're rallying up in the temple. Miracles are being done left and right. And not only is the church killing it, they are giving away so many things. They're gaining favor with all the people. The church, unlike what happens today, everyone loves them.
Yeah.
And people are being added to faith every single day. Here's my first question to you guys. Can this happen again? Is this just something that happened in the book of Acts? Or can we have a season in our country in this age where people actually go, you know what? The church isn't full of hypocrites. It's full of people that are loving and serving and kind. And my goodness, I came to faith because of the example of the church. Can we reproduce Acts 2:42? And if so, how do we do it?
I think that it's a mandate that we do, and not just like a suggestion, or if we can.
I love it. We don't even have a choice in this answer.
We don't even have a choice in it, that we are the church, that is the church, and anything apart from that isn't. That a lot of things that people kind of take as political thing, who should get money, how much should we give and not give, is really a thing for the church to handle and not for the governmental entity to handle. So as far as like who's taking care of orphans, who's taking care of the elderly, who's taking care of the poor, should be more of a church thing than it is a governmental thing. And if we all just kind of committed to that a little by little, I think that we...
Yeah. That's literally what they did. You know, they're the ones that said, we ought to... I was reading an article just last week. It said, what were the 5 dynamics that really actually got the attention of the Roman Empire? And one of the biggest ones was hospitals. Christians said, if you are at any socioeconomic level, you should get treated. And so they started opening their homes as hospitals. And the other one was infanticide. So what would happen is if a child was born that wasn't wanted, that child would be left to die. And Christians went, that child's a soul.
Yeah.
And so they started caring for the orphans in a way that got everyone's attention, and hard work, expensive work, but it changed the Roman Empire. How do you answer this, Jordanna? I know this is near and dear to your heart.
100%. You know, if any of us have claimed to have had an encounter with Christ and are claiming to be followers of Christ, just like Charvis said, I mean, it's not really a choice. And it's not about, you look at this passage in Acts, and there is no mention of, oh, this was a group of people that had a ton of excess, or, oh, this was a group of people, there's nothing.
Our rights.
They are just going, we've experienced Jesus, and so we're going to care for people. And then that awesome 3-letter word, right? All. So all people. And all people were attracted to what this group was doing because they were giving so generously, so selflessly. Yeah. They weren't going, oh, hey, you know, I can't offer you a meal because there's not a whole ton of food in the refrigerator. You know, it was just, oh, you have a need. And it was pure joy to help meet that need, which was contagious. And the ripple effect. I
love what you said, that the powerful 3-letter word, all. A lot of times we're talking about, when we preach this passage, we're talking about devotion, and they sold, and they gave, and they broke, and they sincere hearts. All of that doesn't have the same power if only some of them are doing it. Yeah. Some of them were devoted to the apostles' teaching. Some of them sold their property. Some of them met every day. No, it's all of them did. We've got this dynamic, and it's almost like accepted in leadership that it has to be this. And it's the 80-20 dynamic. 20% fund 80% of the things. 20% do 80% of the volunteering. You know, what if there was a miracle?
Yeah.
And 100% did their thing. I think it's Ephesians. How does the church grow? In love, as everyone does their part. Let's get this really practical and specific. When I was growing up, back in the olden days, when I first got saved, what would happen is you become a Christian, and then they would give you an acoustic guitar, and they would baptize you. And if you didn't know how to play that acoustic guitar, by the end of your baptism, it wasn't a real salvation. Yeah. And we all listened to Keith Green. And another thing that would go on, the old days.
Do you know who Keith Green is?
No,
okay.
Charvis, go look it up. Go look at it. People, send in your comments for Charvis. And then one of the things we talked a lot about, besides Keith Green and guitars, was being a world Christian.
Oh yeah.
Being a world. We don't want to be an American Christian. Yeah. We want to be a world Christian. And we talked about the need to give and go and serve. And of course, Keith Green had this famous saying, you got to be called to stay. You don't ask God, should I go to love on the world? You ask God, I'm going. Sure. You tell me to stay, which I love. I'm bringing back the Keith
even
Green.
Earlier in Acts 1:8, it talks about you're going to be my witnesses. Jesus says, you're going to be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. Yeah. And it wasn't an or statement. It was an and statement. So it wasn't just, hey, you know, you follow Christ, do something here in the community. It's right here in my local community, a little further out. So Sacramento area, a little even further out, and then to the ends of the earth. So is there any
Bakersfield?
Fresno. Is there any place that is not included in?
Say that again about the or. Say it again.
So it's not an or statement. It's you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and
that's the mandate for every serious believer. Now, here's the thing about that. That's such great content. Is I find if God gives you an or, we're all in Jerusalem. Yeah, Jerusalem's fine.
You're where it's most comfortable, really.
Yes.
I mean, it might be Jerusalem for you. Like for me, sometimes just being here in my own community is harder than being in the Middle East, where I love to interact with Muslim people, and it's different for everybody. But we're not supposed to just camp out where we're comfortable, right? I mean, right, Jarvis? Come on, like not everyone is comfortable in, I don't know, in a school, in a high school, but that's totally a spot for you. But if you ended up only serving in high schools and only being a witness for Christ in the local high school, you're missing so much more that
I used to do this thing where I would bring pastors to a dorm at 11 o'clock on a Friday. I would leverage every favor because I knew there's no meeting I could have with them that would convince them actually walking in. And dorms got more and more secure over the years, which is a good thing. We just walk outside the dorm. They'd still see it. And I'd say to any pastor, I'd say, listen, I know it's going to be uncomfortable for you. I know you're going to make all sorts of shit. If you just spend 15 minutes with me outside the freshman dormitory at 11 o'clock, you will pray and support students in campus and university ministry the rest of your life. And it would happen every time. Because once they got out of their comfort zone and felt the mission filled and saw this little freshman gal coming home from a fraternity party, saw the kid that had zero friends sitting around on a Friday night, you just see the depression happening.
Your heart completely changes because you got
so I'm going to come over to the students for a second in a minute, but I want to get real practical. How do you live like a world Christian nowadays? What does that mean? Someone's watching this and they go, put it together for me. I want to live Judea, Jerusalem, at the ends of the earth, Christianity. How do I do it?
Well, 20 years ago, I lived in North Africa for a year. I graduated from college. I moved with 2 suitcases across the world, and it was crazy and it was awesome. But just 20 years ago, I mean, we were just figuring out email. And fast forward to now, I mean, the world is here. The world is just right at our fingertips. We've got all kinds of social media platforms. But not only that, but the world is really coming to us. So sometimes it feels like, and I'm the missions pastor, right? I should be telling everybody go on a mission trip. But you maybe can't go for 2 weeks and leave your family and raise money and go and do that. But you can minister to people from other places right here. I mean, the crazy thing about Sacramento, Curt, we live in a very diverse city, believe it or not. Sacramento has been leading the nation in refugee resettlement. Just in the last 5 years, there are a number of families that are finding new homes here. It was countries from Eastern Europe for a good season of time. And now we're seeing families come from Afghanistan, from Syria, from Iraq. There are folks in the grocery store that could use a smile. So if we're talking just real practically, the world is in our community.
So you don't have to do anything but become more aware and sensitive to who's around you. And I like working with the international students on university campuses. I have learned to be, I see it in our services. Like I'm not even talking about I'm going to, I see people, I talked to a lady from Vietnam 2 weekends ago. She said, Pastor Curt, I got cancer. I cried out to God. God changed my life. And I started coming to church. She said, I just need help reading my Bible. Would someone sit down and read my Bible with me? She's right there in our service, asking for discipleship. And English is their second language, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're there if you open your eyes up to, what.
I think that, exactly what you're saying, that it becomes a part of our normal everyday. And it's not that we go to a mission trip for 2 weeks or that we go and do this missional thing for this amount of time or this, but every day it's our norm that we constantly engage with people of different ethnicities and different backgrounds and different socioeconomic places in life. We have to always engage in Sacramento to the refugee, in Sacramento to this, always engage in just different places. I worked in Yuba City for some time and it was in the Air Force, and up there, the second, number 2 behind Punjab, India, is Yuba City, the number 2 place, population for Punjab Indians, which is just an amazing thing. I coached a lot of kids and built a lot of great relationships, and just talk to them about their struggle and things that they go through in their own community is just amazing. It's really amazing to see us kind of be so close to them. So if we make that a norm in our life, I think that'll really.
I love what you're saying there. Do travel. I really encourage people do travel, sacrifice the travel, get to know missionaries, and Bayside helps you do this. We send out great teams every year, but have that be the accent on top of this relationship you're building to be a global Christian all the time. And then here, I have to mention this too. It says they broke bread in each, the most powerful thing you can do with someone from a different subculture than yours.
Oh, yeah.
Eat with them.
Yep.
Eat with them. And my friend, don't scrunch up your nose. What the Bible says, whatever is put before you, I think in the Greek that includes gluten.
Yeah.
But there is...
No,
Hannah's upset now. I'm following Christ, but that's my limit. No, but I'm saying there is something so normalizing and relationship building. I mean, every youth pastor knows this. If you put out pizza, you're halfway to a kid's heart.
Kurt, what's something we all do?
Yes.
We all eat.
Yes, we all eat.
So when we gather and we're sharing that cultural back and forth, but that's not even just having a Syrian family into your home, which if you do that, might be the only American or Christian home that they're ever invited into, or someone from Punjab, India, because they're really used to maybe being ignored or overlooked or staying within their own comfortable context of all of the people who are similar to them. That's bringing someone into your home. That's, I don't know, do we still invite people over for lunch after church?
Exactly.
I mean, do we still make those kinds of connections as well, or a family from your kid's school?
And I'd say there's nothing funnier than trying to explain Americans once they get a little comfortable with you and start asking. Like I had one international student, we were conversation partners, and every week we'd meet and I'd say, what words did you hear that you didn't understand? And really smart kid from Taiwan. He said, Kurt, my roommate says, Jeet Jet. I said, I don't know what that room is. Jeet Jet. Every day he says Jeet Jet. And I don't know what to say to him. And I'm just embarrassing. And I said, well, when does he say it? He says it about 5:30 Jeet Jet. I said, well, then what does he do after he says it? He goes to the cafeteria with the other guys on our floor. I said, oh, he's saying, did you eat yet?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
But he's saying, but we don't realize how much we slur and we don't, and we make all sorts of nonverbal noise like, hey, and we think,
of course everyone understands.
Yeah, of course everyone understands this. And it's ludicrous to someone that English isn't their first language. All of that gets to be this great fun, or one of the funnest thing in the world is ask and say, okay, give me your American accent. And then they start doing it, and then you start hearing it in all of your American friends. And it's just a beautiful, fun, wonderful thing to do to actually be a world Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the really challenging and awesome world of students. So there's parents out there listening to this. I'm one of them. There's students out there listening to this. My son, so for years I started Christian clubs on secular universities, UCLA, USC, Cal State Stanislaus, et cetera. And so when we went to Laguna High School in Elk Grove, my son's a freshman there. And I said, do you want me to help you start an official Christian group on your campus? Because I know how to do that. That's what I'm doing on these secular universities. And my son looked at me and said, Dad, first of all, if I get known on day one as the kid who started the Christian group, I will be beat up every lunch from here to the end of my high school career. And then second of all, if we do that, and even if we're successful, 4 homeschooled kids will show up to it. He said, Dad, can we start a video game club and invite those kids to church? Yeah. And so that was a big lesson for me. Even my son was thinking more missional and smart than I was. How do you actually be in the world, but not of it? How do you be the church on a public high school campus, Jarvis?
Yes, sir. Just really did that today. Went to a school campus and spoke at an FCA first huddle. But I just believe that the continuum of that there will be kids that are just there for the pizza, and there'll be kids that eventually want to be like lead pastors, and that you're okay with that continuum. In some, this is a safe place. These people I know, my friends went there. If you're okay with that continuum as a youth worker on any campus, you're going to do all right. You got to be okay with like, hey, I'm legitimately here just to hoop and eat pizza. Well, I'm here because I want to hear theological truth about justification.
But that's so it's harder that you're such a talented guy. It's hard. I have done the FCA and the other clubs, and you're doing it. And the kids that are there just for the pizza, they're talking to their friends about what's going next. And then over the loudspeaker, the fifth hole is going to start on phase, and so the SBS for sale on the thing. And yet you're somehow able to press through and engage with these students. How do you get their attention? How do you engage them?
Yes, sir. Try to really get students inspired as the church and to engage in that we won't just stay in this room doing FCA or doing Young Life or whatever whatever it is for the day or the week. It's like 5 of them at each campus. But we'll go out and we'll just love on students. Hey, we'll have basketball tournaments and we'll have after prom parties, and our parties will be better than the parties they go to. After football parties would be better and more fun than those. So finding many ways. We did a hoops church thing in Yuba City that we will try to bring to Roseville.
Come on. And
all we did is invite guys to come play basketball. We said 5 things made up a congregation: a pastor, people, praise, proclamation, and prayer. And as long as that was it. We had to be okay that they weren't there on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday evening. But we just said, hey, come gather. We'll play Lecrae and play KB. Yeah. We'll eat pizza. We'll pray.
That's your 6P right there. I was listening for the pizza.
Yeah.
You're and being the Acts 2 church. Yeah. Just meeting their needs. Yeah. Because a 16-year-old
Well, it's the present of presence too. It's going. If I show up to the speaking engagement, that's one level. But if they see me after, and sometimes they got to see you after 3 or 4 times before they start going, oh, this is a little real. This is a little real what this person is doing. So, yeah. Well, and the missional thing is that I think you're glossing over the basketball thing too, because like I used to work with church planners all the time, and I'd say to them, what specific strategy for that specific neighborhood are you going to do? And they would say things like, well, when I speak on this and when I speak on that and what we're going to do in this service, and I go, no one's going to know about that. You got to do something out here way before they get in the service here. And so you're going basketball. I think one of the best youth group ideas I ever heard of is a couple students came to a youth pastor on my desk to a friend of mine, and they said, we want to do our own professional wrestling league. Yeah. And he could have seen, look at this, the guy, he could have shut it down. And he was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We're going to build this up. There's going to be heroes. There's going to be villains. There's going to be food. And I'm going to share the gospel for 10 minutes after it's over. 1,000 kids would come out for this thing. And, like whole celebrities were, because why? That was in their interest and passion. We didn't say, change your passions for us. And you'll get to hear the gospel. We were like, we're going to go and serve some fun things, some things you're interested, some passions you have, and we're going to then tell you about the gospel. And
the best part about it was just in the time in which they were losing and sitting on the side, we got to hear about this guy's life and what they were dealing with. And like, hey, why don't you have a job? Are you trying to wait for a job? What's the next step after high school? That's the part. Afterwards, you go like to In and Out and just really hang out for a couple of hours and really use diversity of this person's from this school, this person's from this school. For us, it's this person's from Intercom, this person's from Center or Granite Bay or DO, and we just kick it. And these are my boys on Sundays. We see each other's on football games on Friday nights, and they're already brothers because they spent so much time together.
You do this so naturally. You're passing out quick because here's what a lot of students, student leaders, pastors, youth pastors, I don't think it takes time. I mean, it literally takes you giving your time. So I see you show up to church early. I see you leaving early. I see what you just said there. We're hanging out at In and Out. When I was youth pastor, before I got hired, I looked at the board and said, listen, you want me to reach students? Then I will be at nothing before 9 o'clock at this church. I'll be not. So if you have a 6 a.m. prayer meeting, I'm not coming. If you have an 8 a.m. board meeting, I'm not coming. Because I'm going to be to midnight. And this is where it was in Oak Harbor. I'm going to be at midnight at the Dairy Queen. And I'm going to have a team that will clean up the church after our youth group. But it's not going to be me because I will be at the Dairy Queen every single week. And I'm telling you what, every board member was like, that's awesome. That's great. Then when I didn't show up for stuff at 8, and it was kind of a Dutch church, so they did a lot of early. The Dutch people get up early. That's a generalization, but I found it to be true. And they started getting upset. I said, listen, I told you that if you want this to happen, it's 11 p.m. at Dairy Queen with 30 students. What happened in the service was important, but that set them up to tell me what they really wanted to tell me at the Dairy Queen at 11 o'clock. And then, I mean, we would literally be in that Dairy Queen having prayer. Like I couldn't get them to open up like that in worship at the youth group meeting. But it's like the poor girl serving dilly bars is going, what church is meeting in my Dairy Queen here? But it took that time. It was time. So you got a student out there. Let's just talk directly to students or the moms that are worried about their student. They're not connecting.
Mm-hmm.
They're a believer. They're a Christian. They're not connecting. They go into the cafeteria. They feel alone. What's your advice to them? How do they be the church? Let's say they're new to the school. Let's say that they've had a bad social experience. Maybe they had a friend group that didn't work for them, was influencing them in a bad way. So they broke with that group. What should they be doing?
They should just find other young believers to connect with, whether that's through FCA or through a church service on Wednesday night. I think through that in services, in service to a city, in service to a community that break down a lot of walls between just diversity and when we're in the dirt at Mesa Verde, 56316 GB Serve. When we're in the dirt together, cleaning and serving other people, the things that are differences to us don't seem like as big or tough, but it kind of brings us together. So
I was going to chime in on that, Curt, because so we've been taking high school students and college students to Mexicali, Mexico. For this will be the 25th year, by the way. Wow. 25th year will be 2020's trip. And parents will say to me all the time and to our different student ministry staff, gosh, my kid is just not connected. Hey, if you send your kid on this trip, I guarantee you they will come back with 10 friends.
Yes.
Guarantee you they'll come back with 10 friends. It's the same kind of thing that's going to happen with City Serve or any opportunity where even if you got to force them, even if they're upset about it, they'll be okay. They'll be okay because they will be able to actually themselves be that Acts 2 church.
We get it reversed. We think I'll connect with some friends and we'll go serve. It's actually the exact opposite. It's if I jump in and serve, then I'll make 4 friends. So I had this mom come up to me and she was like, I cannot get my son to go to middle school camp. And he's an 8th grader and I can't get him to go. And I said, listen to me, I'm going to coach you up right now, Mom. And I was this way too, but don't take it. But I'm like, you're the parent, grab that student, make him go. He doesn't have a choice. Get him on that bus and make him sit next to Colton, our middle school pastor. Just then, her son came up behind him, and I'm not making this up, 8th grade. He was almost 7 foot. So I was like, oh, I see what you need. You literally you need 2 men in the church to help you with this task. But there is something to what I was saying beforehand of going, listen, you're going to jump in and serve. You're going to jump in and serve. Which brings me to the point, if you have not signed up to serve at our city, there's still time for you. The time is running out. But we've got a lot of great projects open. We got family-friendly projects. We want to tell you, let's go be the church. Let's lock arms together. Let's, to Jordanna's point, all do it. And it's really simple. All you have to do is text the word serve to 56316. Serve to 56316. Then you're going to get this little link and it's going to show you the serve projects that are open, the ones that are closest to you, the ones that are kid friendly. It's less than 2 minutes to sign up. And you will then be showing the world that your faith really matters, that you're jumping in and being the Acts church. And I want to tell you what, we act like the Acts church, we're going to get the results of the Acts church. I guarantee it. So join us. Everyone, I'm talking to you, not talking to someone else. Pull your car over right now and just text serve to 56316 and then join us on what's the date on that? Charvis, for we're going to Golden One?
It'll be September 29th.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. Charvis, where are high school students serving you? You said Mesa Verde?
Mesa Verde. Text GB Serve to 56316. Sign up.
So we're going to the Arab American Church here in Sacramento. We're doing home visits for newly arrived refugee families. It's super family friendly. We got a 5 and a 7-year-old. We're all serving.
I'm going to elementary school to Bull Weeds here in Roseburg.
Oh, come on, Curt.
So anyway, get set up today. And by the way, always the fact that you care about the world, you care about students, you care about serving, and you're listening to this flip side, it's super encouraging to us. We do this for all of us to make sure the Word of God is in all of our life, not just an hour on Sunday. So way to go. Would you like and share and especially subscribe? I know I say this every time, but really, really, would you subscribe to this so we can get the word out about getting the word in? Amen? And thanks for joining us on the flip side. We'll see you next week. We're going to talk more about the book of Acts. We're going to go in depth. So join us then for the flip side.